Can you give me like a 3, 2, or from 5?
5, 4, 3, 2. Wait. Actually, I'm gonna just do it at the 6-minute mark. So.
Well, I'm keeping this. This is gonna be the
3,
start of the audio.
2, 1.
Well, that's the official start for the episode today, guys. You ready for such an amazing episode? I'm back again. With me, as always, is my boy Gio.
Howdy.
Today, we got a guest that it's been hard trying to get you on. There's been lots of changes with the schedules. I got sick, and then you went back to Colombia. Then I got sick again, and we finally got it together. With me today, I got Noah B., who I was introduced to on Spawncast podcast with Eli. Quick shout out, episode 62 if you want to check that episode out. Noah is a content creator, a traveler, a teacher. You can check him out on the Rough in the Basket podcast. It's on all streaming platforms, as well as my favorite, which after I learned about this, I think I talked about this on a couple episodes, or at least one episode. Your Gringo Perspectiva, little videos. It's like small, dumb facts about absolutely nothing, but then you go so in depth and you like do all this research that it's like, I didn't know I cared about Fall River this much. Like, right. I'm like always so entertained. It's really cool. But before we get into kind of, talking about the content you do and some of the other things that, brought you here today, you told me, because you just flew back from Colombia.
That is correct, yes.
You have a little bit of a story for that travel back.
Yeah, it was a long day. By the way, thanks for that intro. That was freaking amazing. You really hyped me up a little bit there. But yeah, so coming back from Colombia, so we get on the plane. It's like my flight, just for context, is supposed to leave around 3 p.m. It's like 2:50. We're in the airplane. Everything's going fine up until this point. And then the pilot goes on the intercom, and he's like, "Oh, unfortunately, we have a little delay. Our cooling system isn't working as well as it's supposed to. We're getting like this weird reading from it. So, yeah, it's gonna be like 20 minutes. It should just be like a matter of paperwork, and we'll be in the air." So I've heard that before on an airplane, and it actually was just a matter of paperwork, and we were able to get off in the air almost immediately after that. This was not the case this time. So, yeah, so I'm in Medellin still. I'm on the airplane.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
You said Medellin?
Medellin, Colombia. Yep.
Is that different than Medellin or whatever?
Medellin, yeah.
Okay, it's just the pronunciation.
Yeah.
All right. That's Pablo Escobar's like hometown.
Yes,
okay,
yeah. Okay. That is what is known for generally, yes.
Not that it's only known for that. That's where I learned.
Beautiful city.
Yeah.
But I was on the airplane, and so 20 minutes go by. Haven't heard anything. Another 20 minutes go by. Still haven't heard anything. Another 20 minutes go by. So we're at an hour now. It's 4 o'clock. We should have taken off an hour ago. Still no news. Still nothing has been said from the pilot. I'm like panicking because I have a flight that's supposed to head out of Miami to go to Boston at 9 p.m. and it's already at that point it's already like 4:20, 4:10. I'm like, geez, like I'm going to miss my connection flight. I'm going to spend the night in Miami. So finally they go on the intercom and they're like, yeah, we're unfortunately not able to fly at this exact moment because this reading that the cooling system's giving us, unfortunately, is kind of like delaying things, and the ground crew is making us like wait a little while. So yeah, we're not too sure like what to do right now. We're trying to figure things out and get an agreement. And another hour goes by. They don't announce anything for that whole hour. And then it gets super weird because security starts coming in the plane. Yeah. So, like, the ground crew start to come in the plane, and they start, like, looking around. They're looking on their seats and stuff. So people start panicking because nobody has told us anything about what's going on. We're like, kind of freaking out. And, dude, so 2 hours into the flight, people start, like, screaming. Like, there was one person who literally yelled out. I have a video of this. They yelled out, "I don't feel safe right now." Nobody feels safe on this freaking airplane.
Are you guys still on the ground?
We're still on the ground. Yeah, 2 hours into this. So finally, another 40 minutes go by, and they go, okay, what we're going to need to do is we're going to need some people to volunteer, step off the plane, because we have, the issue that we have, it requires that in international law, we reduce the weight or whatever of the plane, which sounds like super sketch. And I actually was texting a few of my friends about this, and they're like, dude, you better get off that plane like right now. And I was like, yeah, but I don't really want to like spend another night here. Love Medellin. By that point, I was just, ready to go to Florida. I was ready to get back to Boston and start working again and everything. So, so basically we're 3 hours in now, and finally they get, some people off the plane. Security comes back in a search, and then finally, they should have announced this like a while back, but they told us about like the international procedure when somebody leaves the plane, security comes in, but some people were saying like, oh, this is BS, there's no way that was true, So we do take off, a freaking crazy takeoff 3 hours after that. Super turbulent, and I was like, oh my god, there's something wrong with this plane. I should have gotten off while I had the chance. But no, like, fortunately, obviously, I got to Miami. But at that point, I already missed my connection flight, so I had to sleep in Miami that night. And not in the airport, though. They did give me a hotel. And it was a nice hotel. But
what's the word for it? They paid for it.
Yeah, thankfully. They gave me a $12 voucher for food, so good job, American Airlines.
Yeah.
$12 can get you a few bags of peanuts in Miami.
A few bags of peanuts or the lettuce and tomato of a burger. That's it.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, you're investing some of your own money into that. No, I had to pay like $48 in Ubers, like going there and going back.
Oh, fuck. Yeah.
From and to the hotel. So brutal, but it all worked out, and I'm back and slept for 3 hours. Yeah,
you're on ever-changing vibe.
Hell yeah.
And I think this is a perfect way to get into today's episode. You guys ready? Thank you, Gio. Well, I think I'm keeping this off. You can move that closer to you. Oh, I took off the headphones. I'm trying to get used to that because, especially now having a guest, I feel like for a while when I was doing a lot of solo shit, it's what, allowed me to not feel like a crazy person talking in my basement alone. It was like if I could hear my voice, I'm like, oh, I'm talking to me. Like, of course. But a couple episodes ago, Gio kind of suggested it. He's like, I don't really like the headset. So I was like, yeah, let me try that out. And then as you were talking and I'm trying to like, listen to this story, I felt like a couple times I just got too involved in the headset. And dude, we're here to fucking vibe.
Hell yeah.
I want to jump into first the gringo perspective and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a couple. I haven't seen one in a little while.
Been slacking a little bit.
It's not, dude. You and Eli do the same shit. Oh, I'm slacking. It's like, dude, you're putting out crazy. Like that stuff doesn't. It's not like you wake up in the morning and go, oh, you know what? By noon I'll have a episode. It's like you do your research. You get like the one about Boston that you did was one of the coolest ones I think that I liked because I never thought in a million years like where do these places get their names from? Everyone hears the story like I probably knew this in like kindergarten how New York is new a town in England or whatever or London and then I knew a lot of the like in this area too, especially like the Massachusetts, there's a lot of like Indian terms for towns and cities, etc. So I always just kind of assumed that Boston is, but I didn't even assume that Boston came from that. I just like never even thought that there was a story to be told there. And you find these like random facts. I said that with the Fall River one. It's like you find a random fact that I didn't even know was like a fact. I've always called it Fall River. I know what that is. Like the bridge. Oh, that's what it was. The only building on a bridge or something like that. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you like, where does that inspiration come from? Is it just like randomly you're driving or like, I wonder about this bridge. So you're just driving under it and then you go do your research, or it's like you have an idea and you're like, I want to find out everything and then I'll pick something from what I research.
Yeah, I guess sometimes it's like completely random and I'm just kind of in the right place at the right time and an idea comes out of nowhere. But other times there is some planning that goes into it beforehand and I'm like, I got today I want to research about Miami or whatever, and I'll find some pictures of Miami on the internet. I actually do have one coming out about Miami soon, so
sweet.
Yeah, so stay tuned.
Yeah, it's 'cause you stayed overnight.
Yeah, but no, I mean, I think it is partially random and partially like I'm just curious about a lot of things, and I think putting that curiosity into something and like developing a project out of it is something I like doing. The Boston one. So I went to Boston 2 different times, like maybe 2 weeks apart. One of them, I had the idea in mind that I wanted to go there and like just film some stuff and just have some, be real stuff like that.
Wait, so the video you put out, is that your B-reel?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
I honestly just assumed you got that from the end, like just found.
Yeah, actually, funny story about that one in particular. So that was the second time I went to Boston. It was kind of like a spontaneous thing. So my dad lives in Medford, which is like right past Boston, from this area, the southeast of Massachusetts. So we were driving. Well, I was in Boston already, more or less, in Medford. And I was like, I don't want to just head home right after this. I kind of want to like explore Boston a little bit, see what's going on. So I ended up going. I went to a bar, had like 4 drinks in like an hour, and I was like, so I'm not driving home for a long time. I'm gonna just walk around and just like take videos of Boston. Yeah. So had a good time there that day. And
but at that point, you still hadn't come up with the idea of doing the story of the name.
No, I had no idea. That was kind of random.
So you were just taking B-roll, and then later on, you're like, what can I do with this B-roll?
Yeah.
Do you remember what the light bulb going off was like? Oh, the name.
Yeah, I believe so. I was looking up like fun facts for Massachusetts and Boston in general, New England maybe. And one of them was about Boston and the name and where it came from. And I was like, oh, that's actually pretty interesting. I want to look more into that because I felt like there was some details missing. So I read a little bit more about that. And then I was like, man, this is like a 45-second video right here. This is sick. So, I just came up with that, kind of wrote down a little script, read off the script, recorded that, and then just kind of matched it to the photos and everything.
So how long... And I'm sure it changes depending on what you're putting out, but like how long does that research, like how long do you usually spend on the research part of it?
It definitely varies. Like sometimes it comes together so quick where I'm just looking at a bunch of different facts and something will really come out of nowhere and I'm just like, all right, so that's one fact, I'll write it down, then, I'll see another fact somewhere, then I'm like, all right, I'm going to look up like related topics to this, and then I'll see like another fact come up, and I'm like, okay, cool. These 3 are all kind of connected, so maybe I can make something out of this. But again, it's just a lot of like internet exploration hours and just looking to see what's interesting for me and kind of putting it out there more so for me. Like I'm sure that's the same with your podcast. You're like, this is something that like fuels me. This is something that I really like doing. So I'm doing this for me, and if people watch it, like I want people to watch it obviously, but if they don't, it's like, okay,
check it out.
I'm gonna definitely watch this. But yeah, it's like you do it for yourself, to get some kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just it's a fuel for me,
Right. You need to do something, and like, so I really enjoy playing like Call of Duty right now, and I can spend many hours. But I mean, there's nothing to really show for it. But I do get a lot out of that. Like I just can kind of like shut my brain off and just like monotonous kill die. But with this podcast and like what it sounds like with your Gringo Perspectiva, it's like you are creating a project that you can glance on. You can see the progress from episode to episode, from short to reel to whatever. And I like to relate it to like the common trope of like, masculine energy likes to, build things. In the example that I use is like a lot of like dads want to build a shed. And when they finish building the shed, even if it's a shit shed, they go, I finished doing that entirely. I don't get that when I, am playing Call of Duty, even though I'm going for a camo grind or a camo challenge or whatever, like I accomplish the challenge. It's like, that just makes me like set a timer. So I'm like only playing until I unlock this and then I play it tomorrow. But the podcast, like I actually get to witness the growth. Like there's my shed in front of me. This is what it looks like. So I think we need that to get the fulfillment out of that time that you spent like researching and coming up with the idea and everything.
Yeah, I think like humans in general, like we're always just searching for like a purpose in life.
Yeah.
And it's like I always hear with people that make it to 100 and they're like, oh, what's your secret? I mean, half the time they say like something stupid like cigarettes or like Coca-Cola or whatever. But the ones that like take it seriously, like they say, I had this purpose. I never, gave up on this purpose, and that got me to this point in my life. And I feel like that's so true. Like we're just always searching for something to keep us going and progressing in life.
And I kind of now, not a smooth transition, but that like is kind of my story of getting into teaching. So when I graduated high school and was going into college, I initially enrolled as a math major. In my first semester as a math major, it was like Algebra I liked. I honestly enjoy doing algebra, calculus, and some of the like trig and all the stuff with equation based and analytics and all that stuff. But we took a discrete math class, which is like theorems and this and like proving why 1 equals 1 and if then not that. Like I fucking hated that whole class, and I was like, this is my first semester. I don't want to do this anymore. So I happened to take like an analytics like business class, and I'm like, this is using all that algebra stuff that I enjoy doing. By the end of my, undergrad, I was a operations management degree with a minor in accounting, and I'm like, I'm gonna do business stuff. But I was at the point where it's like, yeah, I don't know if I want to be a teacher anymore because I just spent all this time doing business school, but I still am interested in the field of education. So, a lot of my family members are in education already. So just kind of like knowing some of the navigation around it, I was like, all right, I got a job working as like a transportation like assistant, and I also was doing registration. And then during my time at that school, they were developing a new website, so I started doing all this. But I was going to work every single day, and then like the parts that like I would get really excited about was when like the culinary class, the students would drop off food that they made rather than getting a lunch or going out or bringing in my own lunch. They like every other week they would have a lunch for us, and I liked seeing the students. Or when I happened to work in the tech department, so I enjoyed when the teacher would come in and I like interact with them, but I hated the office job. I hated doing the business. So I started looking into like the MTELs and like, what does it take to be a teacher? Because it's like the community is where I like have passion. I feel like those interactions I get a little fulfillment out of. Then, a couple of things happened. MTELs, I started going for my master's. An opportunity popped up. This is like right before the pandemic at another district that was for a teaching position. So I went to that. Dude, it was so hard, so stressful. And like, I wasn't given a lot of support as a new teacher because I came on late, and the whole school was kind of going through a lot of like employee churn, especially with the principal's administration. So there's not a lot of like accountability. And I had no background in like how to be a teacher. So everything around me should have made me go, I hate this. This is not a good job, whatever. But I was waking up every morning with like just fulfillment. I was leaving work stressed out, headaches, whatever, but I like felt like I did something with the community. Like I interacted with, staff or like colleagues and students, and it like felt really good. So then the pandemic happened. It kind of like made that like, because it put everybody at like new teacher status, just like mentally, like I was like at par with everyone again. So it kind of gave me a chance to like catch up and like understand the role of a teacher. And then I eventually found a job where I'm teaching now at another district where I'm teaching business. So I finally aligned the two, but the whole reason that I even like took the risk of like leaving the secure like office job in education was because I wasn't feeling fulfilled. And talking about like, we are always seeking, a purpose. And I think the fulfillment was what guided me to that. And back to a bad transition, you're now substitute teaching in the States.
Yep.
But for a little while, you were working in some education down in Columbia?
Yeah. So I was helping a few people just like with English, stuff like that.
Okay. More tutorship, like working with students, or were you working with districts, like schools?
Yeah, just like individuals, doing stuff like that. And that was really cool. But I think going back to something that you said that is really interesting, because I think we have actually a really similar story with how we got involved with teaching.
Oh, yeah?
Because you said, so you started off with math, and then you kind of transitioned
I
more to business.
I wanted to be a math teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And then I happened to take like a random business elective my freshman year, the second semester, and it was so related to the parts of math that I liked, like the algorithms, the trig. They were allowed to use like calculators, and I'm like, I can do this in my head, like this math problem. Like all these business students are like, I don't fucking get it. I'm like, what do you mean you don't get it? Like,
yeah.
I did that in my head, like, but it's because that's the type of math that I enjoyed. Yeah, sorry to cut you off. So that was my start, thinking that teaching was out of my career or my journey. When I switched into business, but still excited about it. Still excited about education and finding ways to be involved in that. That's kind of how I ended up at my first job in that industry.
Dude, that's so interesting because for me, so I actually started off with the intention when I went to college. I went to BCC to start off, a community college around here. And at first, I wasn't too sure what I wanted to do, but I kind of like decided I wanted to be a guidance counselor or do something like that.
You want to bring the mic a little closer?
Yeah, I got you. So I was studying at that time like psychology more or less, but at the same time doing like the general credit stuff at BCC.
Yeah.
So I finished that after 2.5 years. I ended up going to Bridgewater State, and originally I went to Bridgewater State. I changed my mind and my purpose there a little bit. I wanted to be a history teacher, and after a semester of that, I just got super like freaked out by being in front of a class, and I was like, man, could I really wake up every day and like tell a bunch of kids about George Washington? Like, I don't know if I could do that. And I just went down this whole path, and I was like, all right, so what's another career that I could potentially go to in the future? And I just thought of like the most open career possible, which is, business. There's always something there. So I switched my major actually to business, and I went for that. But around that same time, I really got interested in learning Spanish. So I wanted to do that as a minor to, better my Spanish.
You didn't even learn Spanish until college?
So again, it's a little complicated because I did and I didn't. So I did have a background where in high school I did take some classes in middle school, but a lot of that was kind of like just studying for the test, getting an A, and then moving on with my life.
It's a vocab. It's a mixed match.
Right,
it's like, can you match the English word? It's like no conversation. They teach you like they teach you phrases and stuff, but like not practical application. It's just like, here's all the things. Just memorize this. It's like, yeah, but one of my buddies works in like trades, and he works with a lot of I believe they're mostly Mexican, but a lot of like Hispanic people.
Yep.
And since working that job, like he's not fluent, but he can speak conversational Spanish better than even my girlfriend, who like went to school to be like a language like reading specialist and all this stuff. Like she speaks very good Spanish, but he can all like interact with like some like a parent probably better than her, I would guess, but I've never seen the two happen.
Right.
But so you had a little bit of background, like you had the
so
the
like,
school district style.
Basically, so I remembered like some very basic things. Like I remembered some of the irregular verbs, like some basic forms and stuff like that. But a lot of it, like I couldn't just have a conversation with anybody or anything. So yeah, at that point, I started to really get like invested in it because I also wanted to do it kind of like as an experiment to see how much, if I watched like 30 minutes to an hour of content in Spanish every day, like how much I could really learn while I was taking classes and trying to really teach myself everything too.
What type of content were you watching in Spanish?
Dude, so actually super funny. The first thing I watched in Spanish was actually Full House in Spanish.
That's what So it was the American Full House. It wasn't like a Spanish. Yeah. Okay, so you were watching Full House. You just
dubbed
put like
over,
dubbed over. Did you have those English subtitles to like kind of match it, or you just?
No, I just put on the Spanish subtitles.
See what words you would pick up and like okay.
So actually, what I did when I really was like a beginner is I tried to watch the whole thing through without subtitles and really try to like absorb it. And then I would go back because I wouldn't understand like anything.
Right.
I would go back and I would see like what words or phrases I could kind of understand. And then from there I would just, have the subtitles on and then
cut it.
Yeah. And then, right. No, I was just kind of see like, what I knew, what I didn't, and write down the words I didn't, and then try to like look them up and then try to like form like little vocab list. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy how I got to this point. Like Basically, I wanted to be a teacher, and then I didn't, and I wanted to go with business, and I thought, okay, so if I have business and I have some basic Spanish, I can at least speak, maybe that'll put me in a better position. And then, I got to, it's a long story, but I came back from visiting my girl over in Colombia back in back in August, and I was like super lost when I got back. I didn't really know what I was doing. I was like 2 classes away from getting my business degree, so I was like super close. So this is like 3 years or 4 years had passed since I started getting into Spanish, and I started to really switch over my career to business. And
Wait, your girlfriend is Colombian
Yes.
and lives in Colombia?
yep.
Did you meet her in Colombia?
No, so I met her on an app called HelloTalk, which I also use to like try to
Okay.
better my Spanish. Yeah,
Is that a
so
I've
dating
actually
app?
heard of that.
yeah, it's really good. It's
Oh, so it's not
I
a
would
dating
recommend
app.
it.
No.
No, not at all. No.
It's a way that like you can, because I was looking into that honestly for Japanese.
Mhm.
But it's a way that you can kind of connect and talk to the people of the said like language or
Oh.
culture and like really learn the language from the people.
That's how you met your girlfriend?
Yeah.
That's the coolest fucking story.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Using
bro,
the
like,
internet, but not a dating app. I'm fucking amazed.
Yeah, it's
We might have to go a little deeper into that.
we will definitely. But so we basically going back to the whole experience of like how I became a teacher or being interested in going into teaching. So I wanted to do business. I was 2 classes away, and I started doing Amazon delivery driving back in
yeah.
August or beginning of September. And it was just so draining. After 2 weeks, I was like, man, I can't do this anymore. I have to figure out something else because I also have those classes I have to pass to get my degree, which is obviously the priority.
Yeah.
So one of my friends was doing substitute teaching at the time, and he was like, you know something, man, like you should do that, give it a try. You're there from like 7 to 2, 7 to 3. You get out, you know, you have the rest of the day to study, do what you need to do, and you'll get paid. You'll have some compensation. So, I mean, it's a win-win. If you don't like it, you can just leave after a week or whatever. So I was like, you know, what do I have to lose? So I did that, and after like a few weeks of doing that, like I just really fell in love with it. And I was like, man, like what could I do to become a teacher? And right now, so I did pass those 2 classes. I do have my degree now in business. Spanish and history are the minors that I have there. Because I already took so many history classes up until that point, I basically had the minor. I just had to take like one more. So I was like, I might as well include that and have something to show for it. So yeah, so then I just kind of started falling in love with teaching and being in that atmosphere and that structured atmosphere. And I don't know, I mean, I saw that right now in Massachusetts, they have the emergency teacher's license. And really all you need is a bachelor's degree, which is pretty wild. So I got the bachelor's degree, and after that, I immediately applied for the emergency license, and I got it within 24 hours. So they approved it super quick. So
are you're a building sub or are you a long-term sub? Like, are you covering one classroom specifically or
no? So
you go in each
now,
day?
right now I'm just a building sub. I just go over there, tell me. But whenever they have like history teachers or Spanish teachers or Portuguese teachers, because I do speak Portuguese to an extent, because it's very similar, you know, Spanish. So they kind of just throw me in those classes, which is nice because it gives me some experience like helping out kids with like basic stuff. So it's cool.
Yeah, dude, that is like the same fucking story.
Yeah,
it's a different path. You said you started with psych and then history and then business.
Yep.
No, that's so cool. But before we go into HelloTalk and how that evolved,
we'll get all into that.
I have to know, like, as the individual,
Yep.
why Full House? Was it nostalgic? Like, why not Seinfeld or
Yeah, just I don't know, man. One of my favorite shows as a kid, and then I saw it on Hulu. I saw that they had it in Spanish because I was just looking at like any Spanish dubbed over shows just to start, just something I was interested in.
Of course, I didn't even think that, like, not all shows are going to be dubbed.
And I saw that was one of them that was on Hulu, and I was like, hey, you know, that's pretty interesting. I wonder, like, by season 9, like, will I be fluent? You know, answer that no, but I could understand like quite a bit up until that point. So.
Well, one summer I was still working in college. I thought it was an internship. It was really just like to fill a position. I was working at a hotel over the summer because I was still not sure what direction I wanted to go in with my business. And I was like, oh, maybe hotel management. Fucking hated working in the hotel, but that's so many other things that
I've heard some horror stories about working at a hotel.
It was a fucking nightmare for me, and it's not that the hotel or anything was bad. It was just like it was too far away for the age I was and the drive. It just like killed my entire vibe. But I was working with over the summers. They hire like a lot of foreign people. It's kind of like an exchange program where they all come over here, make a bunch of money to send back home. I was working with a lot of Romanian and Montenegro and Serbian and I at least in my like department, I was like was working beach and pool recreation department, I guess. That's what I was mostly working with. A lot of them learned English very similar to how you learned English.
Mm-hmm.
There was one specifically that I thought had like the best English. He said he did learn a little in school, but most of his English he learned from just watching movies in English or just watching The Godfather and then watching another movie, like just to learn how people talk and I think, and it always reminded me of Big Fat Greek Wedding. Have you ever seen that movie?
No, unfortunately.
So the Greek like grandfather or father, his backstory is he learned all of his English from watching like Three Stooges or something like that. So like he in the movie, like every time he talks, he literally like laughs at whatever he says because he's used to the laugh track. It's just like such a funny like stupid little side concept. But yeah, I like had to know. Ew, dude. I got sick earlier this week. I just spit on the mic a little bit. That's why I'm pausing real quick in the middle of my fucking sentence. Because I spit a little bit on the mic. But I was sick earlier this week. I still sound sick. I wish I addressed that in the intro, but this is the 30-minute mark. This is where people either have already clicked off or so a nice way to transition into Hello Talk. So it's a like conversation website. Does it match you almost like Omegle matches you?
No.
Or it's just like random conversations?
Yeah, it's so like you can make a profile. It's kind of like a Facebook for language learners. That's kind of how I would summarize it as. Like you can basically, make your own profile, and from there you can post something like whatever, and then if you're speaking English and want to learn like German for example or whatever, like then it would go in the English category, and then other people who are looking for English speakers to talk to could find that post and be like, oh, that's funny or whatever, I'm gonna message that person. So
that's
but
cool.
also there's like a little list of people that you can chat with, whatever, that'll come up based on like similarities or whatever.
So you put in your interests and stuff, like, oh, I like sports and movies and walking or whatever, or hiking. And then you find a German person who likes hiking, and then they kind of like pair you through similar like hashtags and everything.
Yeah, it's fairly similar to that. Yeah.
Before we continue with Hello Talk, have you tried other like language learning apps, like Duolingo?
I have. Like, I'm not a big Duolingo guy. I think it's good for beginners to like get themselves at least like invested in having a streak in the language and like doing it consistently. I think it's a good beginning, but it is like kind of limited in the vocabulary that it teaches you. Like when I was beginning to learn Portuguese, I remember it like brought up like a sentence about a turtle or something. And I was like, what the heck? It's like, I'm never going to say like, I want to, walk down the street with my pet turtle or whatever. Yeah. But, so I feel like other sites or other, not content, but other apps, will maybe be a little bit, limited. But then again, I do like, there's one called Drops that I think is kind of good. It teaches you like specific vocabulary based on like whatever, like it'll have different categories like sports or working out or school or whatever, or office presentation. It'll have like little terms with that in there, and a new word will drop like every 30 seconds or something. It's pretty interesting. It's a cool concept. I like that.
Is that where you met your girlfriend before this one?
No. Keep me out of trouble. No, I'm just kidding. No. That did not happen. But yeah.
That was good. I forgot my question. I'm still laughing.
Oh, my bad.
No, what I like is kind of my comparison with my buddy who's working in the trades and my girlfriend. And like you said, like what you learned in high school versus how you actually learn Spanish is conversation. I feel like the Hello Talk separates itself in such a more remarkable way where the conversation is giving you, like teaching you how to speak to somebody, not just the language. I do believe that some people like work really well with memorization and vocabulary, and like my girlfriend could have a conversation with someone in Spanish. because she has a good like memory recall. But it's just such a different level when you know the vernacular, you know, like how to talk. You better adapt the formalities and the kind of like the unwritten rules in conversations. Like, I mean, I know they teach you like usted is formal and like Ella is Aya.
Ella.
Ella.
Aya. Yeah, that's her. Or she, yeah.
She, okay. Is like informal or whatever. Or like, maybe I'm fucking wrong. I don't speak Spanish. I speak English
I mean,
poorly.
you're definitely wrong, but it's okay.
Yeah, but that's all right.
Fucking stay muted. Stay muted.
I control the board now.
Yeah, that's right. So not only does Hello Talk allow you to learn a better version or a better style, at least in my opinion, it helps you learn the language better, but you're actually interacting with someone. So how does this evolve from like a conversation about whatever sports, just to learn Spanish? I'm sorry, I'm doing like a million different questions. What was the piece that connected you? Obviously the Spanish, English. Was there like one of the like sports?
Yeah, I don't remember what it was exactly. I think I posted something about like a movie or something. That was like my first post. Actually, this is crazy. This is wild. This is good. So
have you dove into this in your own brain?
Well, I thought about just like the odds of us meeting and everything. It's crazy. It's a wild story. So I used to work at Chipotle. I worked there for like 4 years. And at that time, I was working a lot of Saturdays and Sundays. So it was a Saturday night, I believe. I had just gone back from work. It was like super late, and I was like, I wanna knock out immediately. And I think I fell asleep around like 11. I woke up and it was like midnight, and I just like didn't want to sleep anymore. So I was like watching videos on YouTube about just language learning and stuff like that. And then I saw somebody mention Hello Talk, and I was like, oh, that sounds really interesting, you know? So I downloaded it, and I actually met her that night. Which is the craziest thing that, like, I woke up, I just had, like, shitty sleep. I woke up, and then I ended up seeing that in a video, and then I downloaded the app, and then I met
Imagine
her
if
that
you
night.
could sleep like a normal person.
Yeah. I'm still, like, just amazed by that story, because it doesn't even sound real, but, like, that's literally what happened. So it's surreal. But with Hello Talk, yeah, I thought it was really, really awesome to, you know, just reach out to people and kind of talk to them and, you know, help them to learn English while help them learn English while you're learning Spanish or whatever other language you want to learn. I thought it was really cool, definitely. We should definitely be sponsored by Hello Talk.
That's what I was about to say. I was waiting for the moment to be like, I need Hello Talk, I need the other one, I need like all these other apps that we're just like conversing about so like
I know, this
positively.
is like 20-minute like publicity right here that they've gotten. But.
Yeah, Bumble and Hello Talk. Use promo code. Is it a paid platform?
No.
No.
Hello Talk's free? Oh.
Well, you can. I think there is a membership that you can get where it allows you like initiate more conversations with somebody or something. But yeah, I don't really remember. Okay. I haven't used it in a little bit.
Yeah. All right, so you posted something, you met her. Was it obviously just going back and forth speaking English, Spanish, right?
Yeah. So like I would try to speak, you know, Spanish with her, and she would try.
Is it just message like DMs?
Yeah. Well, you can message, you can call, you can do a video call. There's all that on there. So we were just, you know, texting, and then she gave me, because they use WhatsApp there, which is super bizarre. Like after going to Germany, Denmark,
everywhere else uses
WhatsApp besides America.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
But it is really good. But anyway, so. Yeah, we started talking on WhatsApp because she gave me her number, and then after like a few weeks of just, you know, messaging back and forth about like just various things, what she was doing for work at the time, what I was doing, talking about like our lifestyles, differences, similarities between the cultures, stuff like that. She was like, "Oh, we should do a video call," and I was like, "Yeah, that sounds good." And I was kind of like nervous because I think that was one of the first times I really like talk to somebody in Spanish live, like, you know, not being able to go back, correct myself or whatever.
Right.
So like there was other examples where I definitely did it, but in like a full conversation format like that, I was like, oh my god.
So she asked you to do the
video.
So she made the first move.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. So So yeah, we did the video call. Like things obviously went good. We talked for like 30 to 40 minutes, and then it just became like a routine where we habitually, like every night, we just spoke for like hours and hours and hours.
Yeah.
And so that was like for a few months we did that, and then after a while, I mean, it started to get like a little more flirty, and we started to say some things, and then and then and then yeah, I mean, one day,
flirty.
we just one day we just decided to at least try it. And at that point, we were only like 3 months into it, and I really didn't think like anything would necessarily amount to it, because I was like, what are the odds? Like, she needs a visa to come here. Going there, like, I don't know when I'm gonna have time for that. But then I looked at my schedule, and I saw like in July I had some free time that I could go from from here to there. And I was like, okay, cool. So that's what I did back in 2021 now. I have to think of like the years, 'cause it's just like everything's going by so quick now. But
and everybody has that like 2-year gap from the pandemic.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like everything that happened from 2020 to 2022, like the summer of 22 is like, could have been in any of those months or years. Like the same thing. Like I golfed one of the summers and didn't golf the next summer. I played tennis one of the summers and I didn't play tennis the other. I played a lot of Warzone ones, and I don't know which one is which. I'm so lost.
Mine was filled with trauma. I remember every single day of every single month of of both of those years.
You were still in Cali, right?
One of them.
One of the years.
One of the years
First
I was
year?
2020 I was in Cali.
Oh, yeah.
And then 2021 is when I met you.
Oh, shit.
That summer, yeah.
Yeah. That's
2022 was when I met you, so...
who am I going to meet in 23?
Yeah, so it was like...
Is it you?
We started talking, and then like it's like maybe 3 months in, it started getting flirty. And then like, from there on out...
Started video calling every day.
Yeah, and then we started posting it online. And,
Yeah.
And now we're porn stars.
Guess what the D stands for? Check out our YouTube channel. All right, so it evolves from messaging to her. My girlfriend made like the first 2 moves, and then like from there, I was like, all right, she's into me. Like I started making more moves, but it was a lot of back and forth. But I definitely give her credit for making the first move. It was like it's what I needed to be like, all right, I'll play around with this. So now you're video calling like all the time, and now you're seeing an opening in your schedule. You've never met her. Like so she's not catfishing you because you've seen her.
Yeah. Like I've done video calls with her like every day, so like I knew she was legit.
Had you left the country before?
Yeah, so I went to Germany. Obviously, Germany, Colombia, very different. But I've gone to Germany like 4 times to visit family there. So that was super sick. Honestly, I want to go back so bad. But
Germany? Are you German? Like
yeah. So my dad is actually from Germany. So he came from there to here.
Oh.
Funny story. Kind of all connecting round circle here. My dad actually. So his first language is German. Learned English when he was about 19, 20, I want to say. And he told me that he actually learned English through just media and watching news and like watching whatever shows, reading the newspaper. He said specifically reading the newspaper.
Wow.
Really helped him. Yeah.
Just like self-taught. Dude, I don't understand. Like that is such a like crazy, like I could never do that. I could never just be like, well, I might want to move to a better situation. Like I wouldn't try to learn the vernacular in like Georgia if I like moved to Atlanta. I would just be like still talking with a Boston accent, like using all my wicked pissa, dude. Like, dude, talk like us a little bit. Like,
right.
That's crazy that you tried to compare German to just English.
No, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like,
2.
That's how like. Like I just know myself.
Yeah, you mentioned Georgia. I thought you were talking about the country at first.
Any southern country. I don't want to go out west because like I hate the way the Cali, like what is it, the Valley girl like accent, the upspeak bullshit. Anyways, so
I actually had a quick question.
Yeah, what's up, man?
I think I remember like from my childhood. Didn't your mom? I feel like your mom told me that she was actually in like the Cold War when she was younger, right?
Kind of. So yeah, she did serve in the military, and she was actually in Germany. That's how my mom and my dad met.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, she was in Germany for I don't know exactly how long she was there. I think she was there for like 3-4 years, something like that. And yeah, she like watched all the planes and stuff like that. That's kind of what she did there. So yeah, pretty crazy during the Cold War era. Yeah.
I give less credit to your love story. Your parents, pretty
yeah, they got me beat a little bit, yeah, but
they were like Romeo and Juliet, like opposing sides.
Yeah.
Well, actually not. I'm sure German had a hand in some of that Cold War. I don't fucking know, dude. I was a math teacher. Planned to be a math teacher, not a history teacher.
We'll leave the history stuff to me. No,
yeah, there we
go. Just playing.
Make another YouTube or Instagram reel for me. Explain, break it down.
I got you.
Then I'll learn. So you even going to Colombia to like meet her. It's not like you're going to a resort or whatever. Like you know her and you know you could trust her, but you were going to Colombia alone. You were flying alone to visit her.
Yep, that's correct.
You just had faith.
Yeah, so I actually had a handful of people actually try to talk me out of going there. They're like, dude, drugs. Dude, Pablo Escobar.
Oh,
dude,
yeah.
All that stuff. And then they're like, dude, you're going to get kidnapped. I'm never going to see you again. I had one person one day sit me down and they're just like, you understand when you go there, the laws of this country don't have any effect there. And he was like, when you land, you are on foreign soil. You cannot do anything if you get kidnapped. There's nothing that we can do to help you. And I was like, yeah, but that's not the plan. I don't plan on getting kidnapped there. But,
I won't involve myself with the people that I shouldn't involve. Like I'm going for the one person. I have faith that you've built a pretty big relationship with her. So if she's telling you like we got a place for you to stay, we got that, you just trust it. Just go about it.
Exactly.
Love will fuck you up. Love will put you in bad situations, but if you have faith through it, like it'll work out.
Yeah.
Did she ever warn you about any of those things when you were coming?
I mean, like to an extent, yes. Like she told me, on the streets, like if you're by yourself and you're on the streets, like don't put out your phone. There are certain like unwritten rules that like you do kind of have to follow, and it's not so much that like everybody there gets robbed or something like that. It's not the case, but it's just. I don't know how to explain this without making Colombia seem like something it's not. It is like I've been there in the totality of time that I've been there, it's been around like 6.5, 7 months, and I have had like no close calls or anything.
Yeah.
But again, it's just like common sense stuff to stay safe, where here maybe we wouldn't think of it. But then you could compare
there's plenty of other things that like you can't like there's certain cities and streets and shit where like literally wearing red you probably shouldn't. Yeah. Even if you have it's just a red sweatshirt. New Bedford, I know New Bedford colors are red and white, but if I like went to a certain city in Detroit and wore my New Bedford sweatshirt, they don't give a fuck if it's from Massachusetts or it's like the color is like this is a block run by like in that's a bad situation that you'd probably warn someone coming to this country. When I went to Lisbon or I went to Portugal for a couple of weeks with my family, and they warned us of like pickpocketers. They're like, like certain bags and stuff wear in front of you. Like if you put things behind you, they'll take anything out of the backpack without you knowing. So put everything in front of you. And then certain things like if you have like a pants, have a zipper pocket if you're putting your phone in your pants, so you could zip it up because it'll be harder for them to steal. And then also like drugs are decriminalized. So they didn't like warn us that like I'm like 13 years old and like these guys are walking around catch cocaine like no dude, like I'm 13 with my family. What the fuck kind of party do you think I'm doing? Like I'm drinking for the first time, fucker. Like so like of course there's gonna be things that like you just have to adapt to. It's just like a different society. Their norms built up differently. So whether it's pickpocketing, kidnapping, or whatever.
Yeah, like there's certain neighbors I can't go into because, if I see a hood, I know, like, don't go there,
A hood?
Like, a white hood usually has, like, a little eye. Yeah. And a big cross, usually I know.
What do you mean? Every interaction has been fairly, like,
For you?
Good for me. Yeah, it's a bit. What do you mean?
Yeah, usually it's like I don't really have a way to like say anything. Like even if they're like, "Oh, you're Spanish, fuck," like I can't be like, "Oh, but I'm black," and it won't change anything for me.
They're like, wait a minute, you're not gonna help me with my lawn. Yeah. So
back to
a little aside there. But.
Yeah. So you just took a chance, and initially, what you planned, like a 2-week vacation to visit her?
Yeah, like 3 weeks. I think it was like 18 days actually to be exact. But yeah, we planned on going there, like checking out Cartagena and like where she lived in Monteria, which is like 4 or 5 hours by bus from Cartagena. But there's like it was, how do I explain this? So when I went there, I kind of like I knew what we were gonna be doing, like more or less where we were gonna be going, stuff like that. But then again, it's like I knew in the back of my mind, because I heard some people that had less luck than I did go to certain places where maybe they have a history where it involves either, a lot of drugs or narco trafficking or whatever. And they ended up going there under more suspicious circumstances than mine, but they went there and then they were expecting to meet somebody, and then they ended up meeting that person, but that person brought them to somewhere else, and then they got robbed, and then it's like, what do you do? You're in the country in another 3 weeks. So I was like very careful and a little hesitant at first, but then, when I met her, obviously everything worked out good. Yeah. We're still together, but yeah, I mean.
Wait, were you guys already together before you moved?
Yeah.
Okay, so it was official. You go down, visit her for a couple weeks. And then, so what was the like goodbye process? Like, were you like when you were there in your last couple of days, were you already planning like either her next trip up to you or your next trip down? What was the like kind of goodbye situation like?
Yeah, like, so I left 1st of August of 2021, so I knew like I was gonna be in the States till at least December, because I had some classes I had to take, stuff like that I couldn't just like get up and leave again. So we talked about it, and I kind of like prepared her, like, we're going to do this for real. Like, I'm not going to be able to come back until probably around December. So we planned for sometime around late December, and literally I remember taking one of my finals the 22nd of December at like 11 a.m., and then the next day I had a flight for like 6 a.m. to go to Colombia. So I planned this out and everything. So. Yeah. And then I was there for a few months because I saved up, and I really wanted to see if it would like work long term. So I wanted to be there long term. So I saved up, and obviously American dollars go very far there. Like, I'm talking, dude, that's one thing I love about Colombia. Like, not to get off topic, but like fruit there is so cheap and it is so delicious. Like compared to here, like you could buy. We went to one market, and it was like we had, I don't know, I think we bought like 7-8 apples. We bought like 3 pints of like cherries, 3 pints blueberries, raspberries. They have these like fruits out there called granadilla. It's like something we don't really have here. It's kind of like
I've heard that. My cousin, he was on the podcast episode like 84. His wife is Brazilian, and he lives in Florida. And whenever we go down and visit, or like he comes up, I remember he introduced us to like a couple like fruits that like never heard of. I don't know if it was the one you just, what is it?
Granadilla. Yeah, delicious. It's kind of like it's like a passion fruit almost. Okay. It's not passion fruit. It's something different. But it's like, I don't know how to explain it. It just like the inside of it has like it kind of has that same look as like a dragon fruit almost. It's a little bit different. It's like in between a dragon fruit and like a passion fruit. But when you open it up on the inside, it's like a jelly thing. So you don't eat the outside, you don't eat the shell of it, you just eat like the inside, and it's like a jelly. It's really good,
dude. Like a natural jelly is so fucking sweet, dude.
It's like a candy almost.
Could you like put that picture in the notes? Sure. Thank you, Jay.
So yeah, like we bought all that and more. Like I'm talking probably double of what I said, and it came out to like $9 US. Yeah. So when you're there, like, I think the hardest part about going there is just getting there, because transportation, it's like anywhere from, depending on the season that you go in, anywhere from 700 to like 1,200 round trip. But I mean, you can find some pretty decent deals, but I think like everybody should go there at some point just to like experience it. I think like to be there for a few weeks, it's incredible. Right. A lot of history, a lot of good fruits and foreign stuff that you'll never find here. So.
I have a question too, though, because I know you were talking about going to the markets and stuff. But do you notice like a lot of haggling that gets done when you're at those markets, even if it is just like little things like fruits?
Haggling, like what do you
like
mean?
Trying to like bring up or lower the price on each end. Just you being like, oh well, I don't know if you actually haggled at all, but like say you were doing something like, oh, I don't know if I want to pay $5 for this fruit. How about $3?
No, so it depends. Like they do have stores like here, they don't have a Walmart, but they have something pretty close to that. There's a few different marks or a few different brands, I should say, that are kind of similar to that. So you can't really obviously kind of haggle the price there. But but there are like, markets that they have like in Fresh Air, and then they have like specific times that they have it set up. So in those type of situations, yes, you can be like, oh, I'll pay $5 for that, and they'll be like, no, I want 10, and they'll be like, what about 7? And then maybe they'll be like, okay, so it depends. Like with Cartagena in particular, they have a lot of markets like that where you can kind of negotiate the price, especially for like things like jewelry or bracelets or necklaces, stuff like that.
Oh,
so,
right.
Yeah.
But with the fruits, it's like it's almost not even worth haggling because it's usually like you're gonna get enough for a pretty low cost.
Exactly.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Do we finish the whole Hello Talk story? So then you come back over to the States, you plan a second trip, staying a little longer, and then.
So I went there for 2.5 months, right? So that was from December of 2021 till March of 2022. I was there. And then I knew like I wanted to go back immediately, but I had to obviously go back to the States and save up a little bit more money. I had spent a decent amount there, so I needed to go back. So I actually went back to Chipotle again, and I just worked like super hard. I worked almost every day there and saved up a lot because like you have to understand like rent there is you can find like a pretty decent apartment for like $200 a month. So
you weren't living with you actually like found a place and rented a place.
Yeah.
While you're down there.
So I had a place there at that time, and I was paying rent, but I wasn't there. But it was only like $300, $400 that I was paying for those 2 months I wasn't there, so it wasn't like that big of a deal. So I ended up going back there in May, and I spent from May of 2022 till August of 2022 there. Then I had to come back, finish my degree, obviously, and that's when I found, my passion for teaching and doing that kind of stuff. Right. And then I went back again for a few weeks to kind of go over there. And
then you had your fun trip that we started the episode with.
Exactly. Yeah. So now it all relates.
So it's been about, what, 2, almost 3 years with the lady?
So the plan now is, like, we want to live here. That's kind of what we have talked about recently at first, because she really does love Colombia and she really wants to be there, and she's just used to like the climate, obviously a lot different than here.
Right.
I mean, she knows people there, she's comfortable there, so she really wanted to stay there, and I do really like Colombia, but it's just I don't know if I could see myself living like the rest of my life there, because I have my job here right now, I have my community around me here, friends, everything like that is set here. So we kind of talked about it, and a while back we applied for a visa for her to come over here, but the visa process is just so slow right now with people, even people who are in relationships or married or whatever. So we're still waiting on that, and there's like a 4 or 5 month wait that they still had estimated. So we're waiting on that now.
What's the show? Have you ever heard of the show 90 Day Fiance?
Yeah, I knew.
Is that because that's a program too, similar to a visa, but it's a little different. Is that something you guys also talked about?
What, going on 90 Day Fiance?
Not literally doing the show, but like because like there's a thing that like you can get married, and you have the premise of the show is like you have 90 days, and if you want to end the marriage, you could end the marriage without like penalty or whatever, and then the person doesn't get their green card, whatever. Like, if you do it within 90 days, after the 90-day mark, I forget what like document or what visa program it's called, but it's its own program that they frame the show around. Yeah.
So all right. So I'll reveal this now. We are actually legally married.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because it's literally impossible for her to come here without that. It's just
not even for like travel, like vacation.
Yeah, their tourist visas are 4 years behind. So it's crazy.
Is it more so Colombia that's backed up, or states, or combo?
No, it's just more so like around that area, because I think My theory behind that is just there's like a lot of people specifically from like Venezuela and Central America coming into the States right now, not necessarily like legally because, you know, they have dire situation there, whatever.
Of course, yeah.
So I think because of that, because, you know, in that general area people are coming from, so I think the process of trying to, you know, process all those visas is a little bit slower now because of that. But I'm not too sure. Sometimes they make the excuse of like COVID and they weren't able to process it during COVID. But I don't know. It's just, it kind of sucks. Like I'm able to go there so easily, but she's
Is it because you're married there?
Well, yeah. So I'm not too sure how that affects the whole process, but we got married there. And then, you know, we decided like and initially I did want to live there long term, but then, you know, just not really finding the right opportunities and then realizing like I'm able to make a lot more money in the States and kind of progress my career, personal development, all of that in the States better, that maybe we should try going to the States. And this was after we were already married that we kind of discussed that. But
wow. And so now it's just the process of getting her.
Right, yeah, which honestly, it sucks. Like, I don't really wish this on anybody because it's like, it feels like an invisible barrier, you know, like she can't come here. It's almost like a I don't know, force field or something.
Right.
It's like just she can't enter, you know, and it's like, damn,
That's
like
so wild.
my only option of seeing her right now is going back there. So right now, you know, we're probably planning this summer when I have the time off from work again, just, you know, being a teacher and everything, you get that summer months off. My goal right now is to probably go there for about probably 3-4 weeks, spend time with her there, and then, you know, go back to the States and just continue, you know, working and everything.
Wow. Dude, best of luck with that journey. I mean, that's much better love story than I think we broke down and when I had Booth Babe last on, but
I gotta listen to that episode. Damn, man. You just
so the Valentine's episode 95, that was a fun one. Episode 89 is more so where we kind of like talk about our journey of like meeting on Bumble and getting to know each other, and you know the success from there. But not as like luck of the draw with like just waking up in the middle of the night and finding the person that you're supposed to be with. So again, best of luck on that journey. And before I wrap up, I want to make sure that if there's anything else that we wanted to talk about, we didn't have as much time to get into the Rough in the Basket podcast stuff, but that's a sports podcast.
Yep. Talk about sports, all things, well, mostly just football and basketball.
Okay.
But now, you know, the XFL is back and United States Football League, I think they survived. So I kind of want to talk about that a little bit too in the coming months.
Sure.
And just, you know, shoot the shit about that.
Just like news, updates, topics, trends, cool,
just stuff like that. Some predictions, some fun stuff. Follow us on Instagram. You know, we got a lot of reels on there. Definitely.
How many people are in that podcast?
So it's me and my friend Brandon.
Okay, nice. And it's about a weekly podcast. Take?
more or less weekly. We're loose with that deadline. So
it's a little like passion project, a little hobby. No, that's really cool. Again, check it out, especially if you like the sports content. If Gringo Perspectiva gives you any ounce of what Noah's like, I can imagine how detailed these Rough in the Basket are. Sounds like you get a little more fun because of the longer form content. But, dude, this has been a pleasure. I'm glad we finally made it happen.
Months and months in the development.
Yes,
we finally did it. Yeah.
We were supposed to do it before you went to went back to Columbia. Then we were supposed to do it earlier this week. We got it. We made it happen. So whether you're listening, watching, or whatever is going on with my podcasting, I hope you guys enjoyed another episode. Ever-changing vibe. Noah, thanks again.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it.
Peace.
Peace.